Hello guys and gals, and welcome back to another episode of Haunted Gaming. This time we take a look at a creepypasta titled The Fine Line, which is October 2014's creepypasta of the month. So at the end of this creepypasta, again, let me also know if you believe it is worthy of title. But, being the fine line, are we crossing it? Are we not daring enough? Or is it too blurred for us to tell? Sit back and enjoy The Fine Line. Hello, my name is David, and I'm a 30-year-old guy, and I work in the branch of the legal department. This particular branch is one that deals with product recalls, media censorship, and rating. All that stuff. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday, and I'm browsing through a folder of case files that I can work on. Most of them are tedious, and not worth the payout, to be honest. Call me lazy, but if you had to write a full 2-page analysis of nuclear energy kits and asbestos-coated spy gear just to prove that they aren't safe for children, you would get sick of it as well. So I'm just about to call it in for a day and test out something called lawn darts, when I hit the jackpot. The claim is that a game demo was raffled off as a part of a marketing ploy to generate hype for the game. There were numerous complaints regarding emotional trauma, depression, and mania. The developers wanted me to play through the game to see if it should be released for the public or not. This should have been an easy job. All I had to do was play a game, take a look at its features, write up a report, and then get paid for it. Naturally, I accepted it, and within a few weeks a copy of the game was handed to me at the mall. The first thing I did was take a look through the manual. The game was titled Second Life. It was a simulation game boasting of true-to-life graphics, sound, as well as self-learning artificial intelligence. Thanks to developers' next-generation engine, the game was able to support and optimize these features and boasted a near constant 150 frames a second with, recommended specs. There was also a letter sent from the company that came with the game. They stated if I ever felt discomfort in the game, I should feel free to take breaks. They also wanted me to keep a record of what happened in it and describe what I felt through the whole playing session. So after installing the game on my computer, I started it up and was greeted by an extensive character creation screen. There are several tabs full of options for facial features alone. The tabs included some pretty neat features such as voice, race, and even age. It was mind-blowing, and I must have spent about an hour trying it all. I decided to have a bit of fun by making my character look as weird as possible. I gave him white hair, green eyes, short legs, large torso, and a ton of body fat. The character, although bizarre, looked quite real, not in the sense that I would see someone like this in the real world, but rather it looked as if it was a real person. So I started the game up and tried out the controls. I could move, run, jump, climb, and crouch, attack, standard stuff mostly. I started out in a park in the middle of a town square, tried talking to someone, and they seemed a bit uncomfortable. I even saw a kid pointing at me and a mother telling him off. After the person, walked away, I started examining the town. I have to say, with headphones on, maximum graphics settings enabled, the game looked real. And I was quite impressed by the AI, despite having only seen one conversation. I decided to try and attack someone, walked up to a family, and was about to brawl. But I didn't want to. I felt bad trying to attack a family that had kids in it. Normally this wouldn't bother me, as games such as Grand Theft Auto or Just Cause 2 made their AI either total jackasses or lacking in any depth or emotion whatsoever. But this was different. I decided to avoid this family and went up to a man walking alone. I punched the guy in the nose and saw blood coming out of it. The man looked baffled and immediately began to punch me. It was just about then when I realized that I didn't have a life meter or any sort of HUD. I didn't even know how much damage I was getting, but I could tell my character was hurt. I tried punching, but the man was able to avoid it. By then, my character had doubled over in pain, and it seemed like the man stopped. By then, I kept hearing sirens. I tried to move, but the man grabbed me and didn't let me go. By then, I noticed the pedestrians. Most were looking at me, but were quick to look away when I met their gaze. Some even jeered at me. It felt like I had really messed up. The police took me away in a police car and took me to the police station. He said the bail was $1,000. I told him I didn't have the money, and he put me in the cell. But then something odd happened. I was trying to figure out how to wait out the jail sentence, but nothing came up. I waited for a while and then figured it out. The jail sentence was in real time. It didn't have any saves on the character, and I figured I might as well, just create a new one. This time I made the character look exactly like me, except I made him a lot stronger than he was. I decided to, see that I would save when I had finished, and I would try and win a fight. So I decided to pick a skinny man to fight, and I ended up kicking some ass. But I have to say, I felt a pang in my stomach as I did so. Seeing the man react to each and every blow was not only emotionally charged, but it felt like I was really making an impact on the world I was in. After I'd beaten the guy to the ground, I ran away from the scene. Some people tried to chase after me, but this proved futile. The souped up body I gave my character really gave me an edge during combat, and I was able to outrun the crowds chasing me. After a while of walking around, I decided to try to get a gun. I went to a police station, tried to steal one. It was about then that I realized that pressing the X button interacted with pretty much anything. I could talk to anyone, and when I tried to steal a gun from the police station, it worked. I hid it in my pocket and felt extremely nervous walking out past the clerk. But now that I had my gun, I was going to have a bit of fun. The moral obstacle that I had felt before had somewhat disappeared. I shot at a window and it shattered. People started looking at me and some backed away. I thought it was pretty cool that I was able to make an impact on the world that I did. It was invigorating. I then thought that if the game was supposed to be a simulator of real life, I had to eat. And so I went to an apartment building, went to the top floor, and broke the lock. I was able to shoot down the residents, and I felt more comfortable with it this time. I then noticed a computer and went online. It was awesome to think that I was using a working, functioning computer inside of a computer game. How meta, I thought to myself. I then had an idea. I got a match and some alcohol. Going down to the basement, I lit up the alcohol and threw it at the machinery. As fast as I could, I entered the elevator and left the building. The spectacle that followed was shocking. The building started to fall and I ran away as fast as I could, but still couldn't resist looking back at the destructive force that I invoked. The cause and effect that I had in the game was riveting. After that, I'd just begun trying to find out new ways to interact with the world. I could run cars into buildings and see a realistic display of the crash. I could throw a Molotov at a forest, and would see reports of a wildfire on the news later. I even noticed that the window I broke when I first fired the police gun was being fixed. I must have been distracted, because I got a call from my boss asking if the report on the game was done. I knew that if I sent a failed report in, they would take this masterpiece away from me. But if I had approved, I might get fired. I told him that I needed a bit more time analyzing the features, as the game was quite massive. He said that he'd extend the time period to a week longer, and so I was going to make the best of it. I started causing chaos in any way that I could possibly do, and the game reacted as if it were real. If I drove a car into a pillar, the pillar would fall and some of the building would crumble. If I shot a car tire, it would pop and send the car spinning out of control. I spent the whole week doing experiments on the city to see how it would react. I boarded a plane and was able to hijack it. I flew the plane around for a while before crashing into a building. I died though. So I loaded my last save. As I was doing this, I noticed that it was the end of the week. I'd have to send in the report in the game tonight. I decided to play for one more hour, then send the report. But as for now, all I wanted to do was play. The game immersed me with its graphics, sound, and artificial intelligence. It felt like I was controlling an actual human being in a real world rather than it was like I was a puppet master, if you look at it. I could make my character do things that I would never have the chance or courage to do in real life. I could rob a bank, steal a race car, blow up a building, all while knowing that if I failed, I could reload a save from before. And with the vast amount of things that I was able to do in the game, I hadn't even scratched the surface. A day later, the ingredients for the explosives I was going to make came in and I went to work. The crafting system was quite complex, although I liked the animation the game made with your character's hand when you crafted an item. After I finished making the explosives, I went out into the city, found the tallest building I could find, and went to the corners of the building and placed the explosives. Running away from the building, I detonated them. I was knocked down to the ground and felt a sharp pain in my back. What I then realized hit me like a bus. I wasn't playing a game anymore. Well, that was one of the more darker, morbid creepypastas I've personally heard in a while, and to be honest, this is one of my favorites. It didn't need a game, could really ditch Second Life, if you ask me, to be honest, and it really gave a nice mindfuck in the end with the whole "this is reality." And I absolutely love the concept, because this went back to one of my, previous videos, Polybius Revisited, which is one of my, favorite sort of creepypastas, if you will, the sort of standard I put creepypastas to. Where I went the whole super involved gamer route, and I also put in a little bit of government Illuminati stuff and wondered if stuff like this is really designed to affect us in such a way. Now, I still don't believe it, and I have covered the topic numerous times in other videos, rant times, whatever. The fact that even as you read it, the fine line, which is the title of this creepypasta, a really great title if you ask me, thought about it, was blurred throughout the whole story. When you read it again for the second, third, fourth, fifth time, whatever, the eerie part is that you really don't know which part it's referring to the game or what isn't. So even for us, the reader, it's a blurred line, just as it is for the, protagonists themselves. So it's a really, really great, well-written creepypasta right there. It blends together well, and I guess the game that they use, plays into that. But holy shit, this on itself, if it didn't use Second Life, even if it threw another simulator game, it would have just worked itself. It was that good. It starts off humble with an intro that I really haven't seen before, with the whole, This is my job checking the legal departments, and, you know, it's not exactly, you know, something that was never done before. But it's nice to see, you know, rather than, oh, I went here, got a hacked ROM or something. And the thing is that it really shows that this morally good character, that I would assume is morally good before this game, you know, came into fruition, became into this deranged murderer, all because of the immense realism the game offered and all the choice it gave, helping to desensitize this, you know, once good man. Again, it's not just a hacked ROM or anything. This is a program designed to completely enrich the player in a consequence-free zone, giving the utmost realism to eventually make them turn into what their personas are. It's a chilling concept, very chilling, and I like seeing it. Kind of gave me a Console Me vibe in a will. But in the end, I ask you, what would you rate this, and what would you change to make it better? This has been another episode of Haunted Gaming, and if you like what you saw, then like, comment, and subscribe. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.